Welcome to the Operation Game Night podcast, back and better than ever. Today, we are talking themes in board games, overrepresented themes, underrepresented themes, themes that we want to see out there in the board gaming sphere. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Clayton Gable. How you doing, Clay?
I'm doing good, Travis. How about you?
I'm doing great. Did you like my pause for a dramatic effect?
It was dramatic. I was like, I didn't know what was coming. Sometimes you hit me with something that really catches me off guard, but that was a proper introduction, and I'm pleased.
Sometimes I like to go straight down the barrel
Yeah,
and do a very serious intro just to
yeah.
catch you off guard.
It really puts me on the spot when you say something super witty, and then I have to try to summon within myself something witty in return, and I never meet the mark. So
That's right.
I was happy to have the proper just, hi Clay, how's it going?
That's
I
right.
can respond to that.
This is Operation Game Night, your favorite improv podcast, and today we're talking themes. So Clay, let's just go down the list. Let's talk about themes that we think are overrepresented right now in the board game sphere. What are things that are overplayed? There's so many games out there. The market is saturated. What do publishers, designers need to scale back on right now?
I hate to start with this one because I actually like this theme,
Yeah.
but ever since the booming success of Wingspan, we have had an abundance of nature, ecology, zoology themed games. I mean, you can't you can't miss them. I mean, we got a game literally called Nature, and then there's
Yep.
nature spin-offs. We got the zoo game Arc Nova, and then the spin-off Arc Nova. We got the Fin Spans. I mean, what's the harmonies? We got games about nature and just cute and cozy nature themes coming out our ears right now.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not a bad thing. They're welcoming. They bring in a larger audience than your some themes we'll talk about probably in a minute here. But I think maybe it's time to put a couple of those to bed and move forward with something a little different.
I think we reached the peak of this theme when we had two separate games about mushrooms coming out at the exact same time. I think at that point it's like we need to reevaluate how we're theming our games and what we're really getting after here. Because I I love mushrooms. Don't take that out of context. I like mushrooms out in nature. I like how they work. I think it's interesting. I like the ecology of mushrooms, or fungi, if you will.
Yes.
But maybe it's time to find something else to theme our board games around.
Yeah, that's number one. And I'm a biology major too, so I definitely have a soft spot, but I'm calling it out straight away.
That's right. I'm going to go ahead and say zombies. Zombies peaked a long time ago, kind of along the same vein as like pirates and zombies and aliens. We kind of had this like vein of games that came out all at the same time. They were all zombie themed or zombie coded or just had zombies on it. There was a Z before or after every board game title, and it just got played out real quick. They were riding the high of like shows like The Walking Dead, 28 Days Later, World War Z, and they just tried to pump the market full of zombies. And it's not just board games, it's kind of mass media as a whole. You saw movies, you saw TV shows, and you saw board games, you saw tons of video games. So it's not the board gaming sphere's fault, but zombies, time to go back and be dead for good because it's just a played out theme right now. I don't care for it anymore.
How can we replace this though? I mean, zombies just kind of fill a nice spot in board gaming for just generic things you want to kill and fight.
Yeah,
You know, it's an
yeah, that's
easy
true,
it's
right?
an easy one to do when you just are like, "Hey, I just wanna kill and fight. This is the game." Zombies are a great target to have as that. So, I don't know what's gonna replace zombies. Maybe, um, fleas on dogs. I don't go back to the nature themes.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like if you have people fighting people, it becomes a little overly violent and it might not be suitable for kids. But if you say this used to be a person, but it's not anymore, it's a zombie now, go ahead and blast it with a shotgun. That kind of changes the narrative around the game. It changes kind of the framing behind the combat. So you're right. there's probably a replacement out there. Maybe they just need to go back to like old school fantasy and say these are gelatinous cubes or your orcs and goblins and stuff. There's a lot of fantasy stuff out there too. That's a bit overplayed, but you know, that's a good point. We have to find a replacement for zombies. So what's it going to be?
It's probably shouldn't be Cthulhu, which is our number 3 overrepresented theme in board gaming. I don't these don't draw my interest at all, but I see Cthulhu games all the time. I own one myself, I think, which is
Oh yeah,
the Death May Die. And I used to have Unfathomable, which is Cthulhu. Even if it doesn't have Cthulhu in the name, it still can be Cthulhu. I
yep,
didn't even realize that. Lovecraft's a whole thing. I don't know much about it, but I do know I am sick of it.
yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about like the I don't want to use the word theme in the definition of theme, right? Like we're kind of splitting hairs here, but the Lovecraft is all about this kind of twisted worldview where you're losing your mind and your sanity's falling apart and your mind can't comprehend these elder gods that have been around since the dawn of time and putting madness in the minds of men. But I don't know, it is a bit played out, and there's something about the original literature. Uh, H.P. Lovecraft, maybe not such a good guy through the lens of history, uh, and maybe his theme needs to go away. But I think that the next theme that needs to go away is space exploration. So, the front of everyone's mind already, you know, if Katy Perry can go to space, maybe it's not that far fetched that the rest of us can get there too. So, space exploration, while it is kind of something that we've been dreaming of for the past 50, 100 years, you know, I think in board games, it's a bit overrepresented right now. I don't think it needs to go away entirely, but I think that maybe we can scale it down a little bit or maybe reframe how we represent space exploration. Um, Stuff like Mlem. You're it is you know, paint the theme is painted over the top that your cat's in space, right? But it's not a game about space exploration. It's a game about rolling dice and pressing your luck, right? So I think that there's ways to represent space exploration without making it a game specifically about the space exploration. Does that
That's
make sense?
interesting. It makes sense. This one of all the ones hurt me the most as a former guardian of the United States
Mm,
Space Force. I do still like a good space game, but I agree they are plentiful, and maybe we can explore something else, something more interesting than space. Be deep sea explorers.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's what came to mind first. Let's conquer our own planet first before we go and explore others. How about that?
yeah, yeah. Number 5. This is our last one here on the overrepresented. We have farming. This should shock nobody. We have farming games coming out the yayo. We got Harvest, we got Agricola, we've got pretty much everything that Mr. Rosenberg does is some form of farming, yeah, with various polyominoes. So, I mean, I get it. Farming is inherent to what it is to be human, cultivating the land, growing things, sustaining yourself. But it's just getting boring at this point. You know, how many different times can you plant a field and then reap it, reap and sow? I don't even know which way those go. I sow and then I reap.
That's right.
I sow and then I reap.
Reap
I don't
what
know
you
how.
sow. You reap
Yes.
what you sow.
Yeah. I'm sick of sowing and I'm sick of reaping. I want to do something else besides farm.
I'm sick of tending to these sheep. Yeah, I mean, there's something cozy about it, right? Like, there's a reason that Stardew Valley made $1 billion because people like sowing and reaping, and that's cycle. It's something that is built into us as humans that we enjoy doing. That repetitive nature of it, that kind of planned, like it's like seeing a plan come together, right? You put everything down, you come back later, you reap what you sow, and then you earn those bonuses to then go forth and do it more. There's something cozy about it. There's something that fires off that like satisfaction in your brain. But yeah, it's a bit played out. There's better ways to do it, and there might be better themes that you can get that same benefit. Let's talk underrepresented themes. What do you want to see represented more? What can publishers and designers do and put into their games that you want to see more of?
Travis, you and I were both athletes, and I don't see enough sports games out there. I mean, this is an untapped gold mine.
Yeah,
And I guess maybe it's partly my fault because when one did come out recently, it was that 11 game
yeah,
about managing a soccer team, or
that's
as
right.
everybody else calls it, football. Uh,
Football.
I saw it and I was interested because of the theme, but then I didn't buy it. And so maybe my lack of supporting a game of the sporting genre theme is what's really stopping other publishers from pushing these projects down our throats. Because I'm telling you, I mean, I don't know how you would do it. I mean, I guess managing teams is interesting. There's a lot of ways you can take it. I mean, you could make yourself the main character, the sporting hero,
Yeah.
and training up for something. I don't know. I just want to see more jocks on my shelf.
Yeah, and I think that there's probably listeners out there that are screaming at their phone right now, like, "Oh, what about this game? What about that game?"
Yeah.
And there are sports games out there, and there's always sports games coming out. I get that, uh, but a lot of them are either lean way too heavy into like the management side, where you're like balancing stats. Like you look at board games from like the 70s and 80s that came out about managing baseball teams, about managing basketball teams. It's all stat driven. So you have a card that looks like somebody's, rookie basketball card, baseball card. It's got all their stats on the back, and you're trying to balance all these numbers. And it's basically like spreadsheet the game, and there's not enough theme built into it. You look at like all of the popular sports games that come out, the NBA 2Ks, the FIFAs, the, whatever they call it nowadays. The part, I mean, besides playing the games that actually shines is like that single player looks like I'm building my character to be good at this position, and I'm going out and facing challenges as my player. You're kind of role playing in that world. I think there's an opportunity for sports games to get that right in board game format. That being said, the next theme that I want to see represented more are those minority struggles. We talked about, oh, I bought my mic. We talked about Molly House on the podcast previously. You got to play that. We played it a couple times on BGA. You have like votes for women. There are these games out there that represent very specific times and peoples, and they are trying to convey a difficult message through a board game. Not an easy thing to do, and oftentimes you kind of have to walk this tight line of like I you want to be respectful of the people that went through that period while also being sure to that people walk away with that message of challenge and struggle and strife. So that's kind of a difficult line to walk, and I think a lot of publishers might shy away from that. But I think it's important in the board game space to show that people are represented and to show people that their stories matter through something like a board game. So I want to see more minority struggles in board games coming up, um, just so that their stories are known and out there.
Yeah, this is definitely one that I can see why it doesn't happen that often because, like you said, it requires such care. But board games are a form of art, and you can learn and you can feel things through board games. I've found Molly House anyway. It's so interesting. I mean, I knew nothing about that time period, and the game, although it's not one I'm playing on the regular, I keep it around just because I think of it as a piece of art that tells a story. And I think if more people did this, I think there might be more approachable forms of these types of games and more refinement. But as it stands now, the ones I can think of, he votes for women. I don't think is very complicated, but I'm thinking of like there's that Underground Railroad game, which
Yeah.
is from what I believe to be pretty darn complicated from my brief look at it, and then
Mhm.
Molly House. But yeah, definitely an important place to go with our hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, any other underrepresented themes that you think need to be portrayed more?
Maybe, there and again, everybody will be able to say, "Yes, there's what are you talking about? There's this game, that game." But I think more healthcare themed games. I mean, I'm thinking of Clinic right now that exists. It's a kind of heavy Euro, and then
Yeah,
there's like Rush MD. But I don't know. I can't think of many more off the top of my head where you're like either working as a healthcare worker or trying to manage healthcare facilities in some form or fashion. Maybe pandemic is like broadly like at a macro level,
yeah,
healthcare related, but that and scientific research, just digging into those themes a little more would be
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and I think we have so many city building games. Like, let's build the skyscrapers. If you can scale that down, like let's build a hospital, and you have to lay it out and have your research labs and fund those, and kind of like an Arc Nova, but for hospitals, or build a fire department, or build a emergency response, or build a FEMA headquarters or something. There's something there that is not being exploited or represented in board games right now. I like that one. Yeah, and finally, I think I'm going to say modern commerce and modern logistics. You have games like Food Chain Magnate, and that game is widely regarded as like a great game. It's very expensive. It's hard to learn. It's pretty complicated, but it's modern commerce, and people love it for it, right? There's like little niche kind of markets that people try and tap into. You're running a coffee shop. You're running a brewery. You're running this. You're running that, and these kind of microcosms, like small shop living. I find those a little stressful because small businesses fail all the time, and it's that stresses me out that I might like fail and run my business into the ground in a board game. But modern commerce is something that probably needs to be represented more. And I say modern logistics because you have things like you're building out these huge train networks in Ticket to Ride or whatever it is. But there's something so complicated about getting things from A to B in today's world with today's technology that I think something with up to date technology and up to date methods of communication, lines of communication being logistics, that I think that could be a really fun board game right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Smartphone Inc. is kind of a good take at this.
Yeah,
Talking about being a cell phone manufacturer and you know ramping up the specs of your cell phone. That's a cool game, and
yeah,
that doesn't get talked about enough. I need to play that more. But
yeah,
again, maybe we're the problem. If we like these themes, got to play those games, got to buy those games when they actually do come out.
yeah. That's fair. Good deal. Uh, Tell me, is there a theme or an IP that you want to see represented more out there, that like is close to your heart? Something you want to see the next big wave of board games has this theme or this IP represented in it?
Listen, I don't know if there's some like legal issues with this or if whoever's in charge of Pokemon is holding the IP very close to their vest, but trading card game is awesome. All right. And there's no doubt there's a Pokemon trading card game, but I think you could make some pretty cool board games about the Pokemon world.
Yeah,
And I'm not just talking about, the boxes of games that just tell you how to play the trading card game. I want to see like I'm exploring. I mean, think about like Clank and you're, unveiling new parts of the dungeon, but instead you're unveiling new parts of the world and, you can find Pokemon that are living in the tall grass there by reaching into a bag. Who knows? I
yeah,
just think, the act of collecting Pokemon is cool and maybe it's a set collection game. Who knows? I just I like Pokemon. I think it's always been near to my heart since I was a little kid. So I'd like to see a board game version for the people that aren't into ripping packs and just playing the competitive game.
yeah. Good call.
What
And
about
something
you?
that would probably make a bazillion dollars.
Yeah.
Here's one that I think will happen. Brandon Sanderson just signed his mega deal with Apple. I think it's Apple to do the Way of Kings and the Mistborn series TV shows. They're going to be everywhere. They're going to push these things super hard. They're going to invest a ton of money into it. I think there's already a Mistborn game But I can
Yes.
guarantee you're going to see a Way of Kings series board game at some point in time. So be on the lookout. Invest now. Brandon Sanderson, write me the check. Apple TV, write me the check. I'll design your board game. That is what is going to happen. You're going to see them out there.
Did
What
you
I
ever
would like.
finish that?
No, I'm still working my way through it. I got a lot of reading to do, man.
It's hard. It's a
Yeah.
long book.
It's a slog. It's a slog
Yeah.
for sure. It's not a slog, but it is a long book. There's a lot of pages and a lot of words on those pages.
Yes.
The thing that I want to see out there, here's my pitch. Children of Time. Have you heard of this series?
I've heard of it.
Okay. It is like an award-winning sci-fi game. And the very first one is about humanity goes out into space to go seed these planets with different species to try and see if life is viable on these distant planets. They launch these spaceships, they go out there, they send these pods down with like the very first book is about spiders. They're going to go down, they're going to send these spiders down to this planet and see if they'll live. Well, the spiders evolve way past what they thought was possible based on the conditions of this planet, and they evolve super fast. So when the humans come down to check on their spiders that they planted, they are these like super sentient species of spiders that have taken over the planet. And I think that a series based on this book series novels would be really cool, because the other books are about monkeys and about these other different types of creatures that get sent to these other planets. I think it would be cool to start with these individual factions, kind of build them up over time up until a certain round or a certain point, and then they are pitted against one another. And I think this kind of like development, it'd be like a miniaturized 4X game where you can kind of build up your own civilization and then send it to war with another faction, being like the humans, the spiders, the monkeys, whatever it is. I think stuff like that would be kind of cool. And I think the novelization is great. It's kind of a space exploration sci-fi theme, but I think it's a underrepresented. I think not an underrepresented. I think it would be a cool theme on a board game or a cool IP to apply to a board game.
You've interested me in the IP for sure. I didn't know much about it, so
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Anyways, we've run long already. If you are listening to this, tell us what you think is underrepresented or overrepresented at board games. Tell us if you have an IP or a theme that you want to see on the next board game to come out. Clayton, thank you for being here. Thanks for talking themes with me. This has been Operation Game Night Podcast, and we are out.